Hello, Math 96. This is the agenda for Wednesday, September 30th. You should be on page 16 of your white note-taking guide at home. If for some reason you still don't have that white note-taking guide that we've been talking since the first day of school on August 17th about, then you need to go to the attendance office between 7 a.m. and 3:20. See Elda at the attendance office and pick up your white note-taking guide. If those hours don't work for you, like I've been saying since August, email me and I will arrange to make sure that you pick that up in the evening hours. Not a problem. Okay, so the essential question you wrote yesterday when we were doing the first day of notes on section 2.1, we're on page 16 today. We're going to be doing examples 5 and 6. You have homework tonight out of the textbook, page 101, number 53, 55, and 56. There is a slide at the very end of this recording that shows you those problems. So to graph the lines at home tonight, please use the pre-printed graph paper in the back of your white note-taking guide on page 142 for tonight's homework. Last night we graphed 3 lines, and you should have graphed those on page 141. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and do the notes. So like I said, we'll do some work on page 16. Where you're going to actually graph today's lecture notes is on page 14 of your white note-taking guide. Yesterday we used up these two for when we did example 1, 2, 3, and 4. So today, again, we're on page 16 of your white note-taking guide. When we do example 5, please graph it over here. When we do example 6, please graph over here. This again, it says right here, is on page 14 of your white note-taking guide. So you need page 14 and 16 today for notes. Okay, so you can go ahead and hit pause while you write this down for a moment. Pause your video and write this down, please. Okay, so real quickly, you're going to graph today using slope-intercept form. Yesterday we graphed using a table of values, and we graphed using the x and y intercepts. So today we're going to use what's called slope-intercept form. It's a very efficient way to graph a line. So the first step is to solve the equation for y. Your goal is to get what's called slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. The m represents the slope of the line. So m is, does the line go up and over, rise over, run? So if it's pointing upward, the m is a positive number. So this is a positive m. If your line falls down towards the right, then this is a negative m or a negative slope. Okay. The b is the y-intercept. So when you graph a line, I'm just going to graph one going with a positive slope. When you graph a line as it comes up, and right here where it hits the y-axis, this big blue dot is called the y-intercept. And we represent that by the letter B. And this is the y-intercept dot. This is where you're going to begin graphing today. So remember, when you make your first dot today, it always is on the vertical, the y-axis. So your dot is here. Do not put your dot along the x-axis along here, okay? All right. So let's get started. You're going to do the first step, which is to solve the equation for y. So we need to move over the 2x, so you subtract 2x to both sides. And we've been doing that since chapter 1, right? That's why we did those formulas. So I'm going to bring down 3y. I'm going to bring down the x item first, and then this 15 is a positive 15, so I write plus 15. The next step is to get the y alone, so we need to divide by 3. We need to divide by 3. So please divide each separate item by the 3. When you divide each separate item, you've now identified your m, and 15 divided by 3 is 5, your b. So these are the two numbers that you need for graphing. So you need this number, which represents the M, and you need this number, which is a positive 5, for the B. You're going to use those two numbers to make a graph. So this is the slope. If it's a positive number, then it's up or rise and then run. If it's a negative number, then it's a fall and then run. So up and over, or down and over, down and over. In our case, we have a negative 2/3, so we're going to go down and over. This is the y-intercept, and this is where you begin. You can remember B for begin, and that's on the y-axis. So your M is negative 2/3, so we're going to go down 2, and we're going to run right 3. Your B is equal to a positive 5. Sorry, I keep hitting that. Positive 5. So this is where you begin on the y-axis. And now if you need to get your notes caught up before we actually graph this, then I would just hit pause for a minute. Okay, so right here, we need to know where we begin. Begin on the y-axis at that back number 5. So this is the y-axis. So we're going to count up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This blue dot on the y-axis is called the y-intercept. And then how do we move? So your slope is how you move. So from there, we're going to go down 2 over 3, down 2 over 3. So put your pencil on the dot and then, whoops, count down 2, 1, 2. So 1, 2, and then over 1, 2, 3. So then we make this big dot. I'm just doing those little ones to kind of show you the movement. So stay on that second dot and just count again, down 2, 1, 2, over 1, 2, 3. So down 2 over 3, down 2 over 3. You should not be drawing those lines. I'm just trying to be a little bit helpful in showing you that movement. So again, we started at the original dot at 5 right here. And then we went down 2 lines over 1, 2, 3. Always run your over to the right. So down 2 over 3. Draw arrows in a much better straight line than this arch over. My line is not straight at all. There, I can make it better. Remember, all lines are straight, and all lines have arrows on the end. Otherwise, it would be a segment or a ray. Let's try it again. So you can hit pause if you need to get your notes caught up for that. Okay. So this one, I just wanted to make sure that you knew that there was a hidden 1 in here. Remember, we've been talking about the hidden 1, so it's negative 1x. Remember, there's always hidden 1s in there. Okay, so we're going to draw our line. We need to get y alone, right? Solve the equation for y. So we have to move over the x item, so it'd be plus 1x to both sides. This cancels. 2y is equal to, you write the x item first, 1x, and then that's a negative 8 minus 8. Divide, divide, divide each item by 2. So your y would be equal to 1/2 x, and 8 divided by 2 is a negative 4. So remember, this is how you move. Your slope is how you move. Your b is where you begin. So we're going to go for 1/2. We're going to go up 1 over 2. We're going to begin at negative 4 at the y-intercept. Remember, on the y-axis. The most common student mistake is not starting on this y-axis. So we're going to begin at -4. So we're going to go to the middle, the origin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make a big dot. And this is how we're going to move for the M number. So this time it's up 1, over 2, up 1, over 2. So put your pencil on your dot, count up 1, and then over 2. Make another big dot, up 1, over 2, up 1, over 2. And then you can just remember, you're always running your dots to the right, okay? So up 1, over 2 to the right. You always go to the right. You always begin on this y-axis as well. Draw your line, put arrows on the end, and remember, lines are always across the whole grid. That's going to become very important. Please don't make your lines short. Okay. So that's it for the lecture for today. So I just wanted to show you, this is where you do your homework. So on pages 141 through 179 in the very back of your white note-taking guide are all these pre-printed pages for you to use for homework. So they're there for the convenience in case you don't have graph paper at home. So these pages are to be used for homework. Please show your work. So you're going to write down the problems. You're going to write down the problems in the empty space in here. And then you're going to graph over here. Okay? And then that's the image that you'll be uploading into your digital workbook. Okay, so here's tonight's homework. This is the end of day 2 lecture on section 2.1. You can hit pause in your video. So I just printed the problems from you that are for textbook page 101, 53, 55, and 56. Please do that in the back of your note-taking guide on page 142, where you'll find the graph paper. Have a great day, you guys.